Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a bit louder for you sports bike enthusiasts. This is my Yamaha R6 2019 model, and in this video I'm going to be talking about some of the features that this bike has, some of the things I've done to it, and why I'm selling it, really. So which may or may not surprise some of you, some of the reasons that I'm going to give you for getting rid of this bike. So first of all, I got this bike back in 2019 and I got it brand new. So it got shipped. It was already a very popular bike. It's always been a popular bike, the R6, and it was one of the last in the country at the time. They actually found the last one down in Portsmouth somewhere and they shipped it over to my house, delivered it, and I registered it and everything, and it was brand new. And since then I've had a lot of fun with it. I've had a lot of fun. I haven't done too many miles, you know. I've only done like 2,500, just over 2,500 miles on the bike, and that will kind of play into one of the reasons that I'm going to sell it, and I'll explain why in just a moment. But ultimately, when I got this bike, I was really enthusiastic towards sport bikes. I really enjoyed the feel of them, and I still do, you know. I still love the feel. In fact, I feel safer on these bikes than I do on some of the upright bikes, especially at speed. I don't know what it is. I think it's where I'm more connected to the bike. I feel more connected. I'm leaning over. I just feel like I can swerve better on these bikes, and at speed I just feel like I've got a bit more control to maneuver. The ergonomics of the bike is just really, really nice. But when I got the bike, I was massively into the sports bikes. Love the R6. Obviously this bike looks like an R1. The amount of people that come up to me and say it looks like an R1, that's one of the things that I love about it as well. It just looks beastly. I got the bike. Since I've got the bike, I immediately did some modifications to it. I did all the crash protectors, so I've done like the handlebar crash protector stops. I've done the levers and the brake. The brake lever, clutch lever. I also put some crash protector bobbins on the back as well. I didn't put the crash protectors on the side because I just don't drive like a dick. I don't drive, I don't fear that I'm going to drop the bike ever, and I just don't put myself in those situations. I'm really not a speed demon. Having said that, I did put some crash protection on. I put a full-blown Akrapovic exhaust full system on the bike. That was one of the first things I did. It really made the bike sound proper. Obviously a lot of the bikes come with kind of these factory kind of half-arsed exhausts, and obviously I think a lot of that's deliberate because they got the aftermarket sales, right? So they want to sell the aftermarket stuff, and yeah, it don't make sense to put it all on the bike. You got nothing to buy afterwards. What's the upsells? So yeah, I put the full exhaust on. I put a nice embroidered seat on and passenger seat as well. I'll put a link on the description below the video from where I got all this stuff and all the stuff that I've added to this bike as well. What else did I get? I put some gadgets on for the center helmet. Other than that, I put grille guard protectors on, and just customized the bike slightly with some little blue features, little blue detailing to match the bike. But since I've had the bike, had a lot of fun on it, taking it out on some nice rides, and that leads me to kind of the three main reasons that I'm going to be selling the bike. Okay, the first one is the seating position. So I turned 40 last year and I'm turning 41 next month, and for me, the seating position, I'm all about the cruisers now. You know, I'm all about the upright seating position. I'm a bit done with the the arched over kind of sports position. And although, it's fun to go out for a blast, I don't really go out for a blast anymore. So I found myself just not going out for a blast. And when I did, I can only stick like half hour of this and my neck starts to ache after. And I know, I sound like an old git, but for me, I just don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy the arched over position for as long as I used to. Short blast, great, but is that worth keeping the bike for? Nah, maybe it would have been if it wasn't for two other reasons. Okay, so the other reasons is where I live. you know, unless you're going miles out for blasts and, you know, going for long bike meetups and things like that, and you're going decent routes, where I live, it's very twisty turny, and it's very stop start kind of thing. And for me, this bike, it wouldn't be so bad, but it's so aggressive, you know, it's so angry. The throttle is just angry, you know. You have to, if you're in first gear, second gear, it's like so loud, you know, and you're kind of forever changing gear, and you're forever like, it's jolty. It doesn't, there's nothing leisurely, let's say, there's nothing leisurely about this bike ever. Even if you're on like a tear up the motorway or whatever, there is just nothing leisurely about the bike whatsoever. Even, you know, the speed is ridiculous. You know, you could be going as fast as whatever, and there's always more in it. You just feel like you could always overtake people, and that's ridiculous. You know, it's incredible, the power behind the bike. But even at that speed, it's just like there's no let up. It's constant. So I find myself not very, I'm relaxed on the bike, but I'm not, you know, if you've ridden one of these bikes, you'll probably understand. It's just a bit jolty, aggressive, not very relaxed. And then kind of the next point is, as I was alluding to, is where I live, it's a lot of twisty, turny roads. If I had a track day or went out on tracks or had lots of long routes to ride that were out in the open, great, but I'm not a track rider, and I wouldn't go around all these twisty, turny corners like a track rider. I've got a family and things to think about rather than me smashing into a tree, so I'm not that sort of rider. So with all that said, you know, I found that with the Harley and, you know, getting the MT10SP, which I'll be reviewing, gets delivered at the end of November, early December, so stick around if you want to see me review that and do some bits to that bike and mods to that bike. I just found myself just not, you know, it was just in the garage. And now another season's going past, and we're about to go into the winter, and it's just going to be in the garage again. And in the summer, I just think I'll turn to the Harley, the more cruisers, you know, the MT. If I go for long rides, I just find it nicer to ride those types of bikes. So that is kind of why I'm getting rid of this bike. Now, there is one final reason that swayed me to get rid of the bike. So I'm an investor and a trader. I'm always looking for exploiting supply and demand. And last year they stopped making this bike. They stopped making the R6, which has always been a very, very popular bike. They're very sought after. And I've only ever ridden this in dry conditions. It's in really immaculate condition, 2,500 miles on the clock. And I thought, there's got to be a demand for these, right? Now, at the time when they didn't announce that they weren't going to be making any more of these, a lot of people said, oh, well, they're going to be shooting them. They've shot themselves in the foot because everyone's buying hybrid, you know, hyper naked bikes. But not really, because Yamaha do the MTs, and the MTs are extremely popular. So I think the market just moved over to those, and they made a commercial decision to, you know, the numbers didn't tie up, so they just focused on the MTs a bit more, which are still massively popular and in demand. Anyway, the R7 came out and all the rest of it, right? But what that meant is there was a massive surge in demand for R6s, and I was monitoring the trends, and I was monitoring the prices of second-hand R6s, and they were like rocking horse shit, right? So I paid brand new for this bike about 11 and a half, I think it's 11 grand or 11 and a half grand, and I paid for that brand new. I'm seeing these go in excess of 15,000, 16,000. So what that means is, with everything I've just been over and the reasonings for me wanting to get rid of it, and I've had a great time on the bike, it means that I've basically been paid to drive this around and upgrade it for the last 3 years and get a profit on it when I get rid of it. So I've basically been paid to drive the bike, had fun with the bike, upgraded the bike, and sell the bike and still be in the profit, which is very, very rare for any automobile. You know, the automotive market is very rare anyway, unless you're doing prestige. Obviously, we're in a time right now where it's unprecedented. We've got this kind of used car phenomenon going on where people are selling Teslas for 20, 30 grand more than the asking price on a new one, and all this crazy stuff because of the supply chain of the lack of supply, or the demand for supply of parts, which is just not being met by manufacturers due to what's going on in the world at the moment. But with that added to the equation, you know, it was really a no-brainer. So I'm whacking this up for sale for about 12.5, but I'm looking to get a bidding war started to get this thing going for about 14 to 15,000 pounds. So I think I'll have no problem doing that. I've already asked, about 6 or 7 people have asked me if I can save it for them already. So there's probably going to be a bidding war going on there. And that's it. So I would love to know what you think in the comments. Do you like MT? Do you like uprights or sports? Let me know. What type of person are you? Do you like the bent over? If so, why? What do you like about it? Or do you like both? You know, do you want to keep both bikes and just have the choice? Let me know in the comments if you're an upright man or woman, or a more of a kind of sports person. Let me know. One small reason, which I'm not really including in the main reason, is the fact that I'm quite a safe rider, so I wear the gear, the right gear, and usually when I'm out on this bike I have to lever up, wear all the levers, and it's absolutely boiling, especially this year in the summer. Just because of the heat we had, I chose not to ride this bike, just because I would have to put all that clothing on, as opposed to wearing some of the textile stuff, the lighter breathing stuff that I could have worn with more leisurely rides, right? So that was another contributor. So look, in summary, I just want to say I love the bike. It's a beautiful bike. I've had so much fun with it, and I absolutely rave about the R6. It's an amazing bike. But those are the reasons that I'm getting rid of it. And I'd love to hear your thoughts as well, whether you think I'm nuts or whether you think you'd keep it or have both or what, in the comments. And until next time, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And until then, take care, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you then.